We need a big update on the situation in Iran because there are still protesters getting killed. The amount of people who are dead, the reported numbers are staggering. I don't even want to get into estimations on the stream, but we're not. I mean, the last time we talked about on the stream, we talked about 3,000 to 4,000 protesters having been killed. It is now likely in probably the tens of thousands or something between 5,000 to the tens of thousands. It's a very immense number, and it's very hard to get exact numbers because a lot of the ways that we're getting physical or video proof of these bodies is just piles of bodies. There's piles of bodies. But how do you like translate clips and snippets of piles of bodies as the government's like instigating like an internet blackout, trying to not get information out to the general public? How do you do that? I mean, information about what's happening on the streets to the general public. How do you get that information out? Well, Starlink has been one help, but at the end of the day, you can only get so much. And so, the estimations are so wide, but the reports are terrifying. Reports are really terrifying. And I do need to say that as an American, I don't feel shame in myself, of course, because I said as it happened that it was terrible. But I do feel shame a bit in my country. Actually, not a bit, a quite significant amount, in the fact that the president of the United States went out there and he said to the protesters, "Hey, storm, take over your offices," and then warned the government that if they killed more protesters, it killed any protesters, any was the word, that he would intervene. Then nothing happened. And then the administration went out and said, well, they were going to execute these 80 people, and now they're not. And number one, they didn't say they were not going to execute them. They've merely delayed the executions of a lot of these people. And number two, if you delay the executions, delay the executions of 80 people and then kill thousands of more people on the streets, then the president really didn't achieve anything. He didn't achieve anything, especially when his standard he came out with again was, oh, but President Trump is also so braggadocious. Yeah, and this is the problem, is not all of the world is going to listen to the president's words and account, oh, the president's full of shit a lot of times. And you just got to listen to the president and estimate how much of this is real and how much of this is complete shit. And when you listen to Republicans excuse him, that's what it sounds like. It's like, oh, well, we know the president can be braggadocious, or, oh, the president can, that's how President Trump talks. And when in the way that they mean by, oh, that's the way President Trump talks, is President Trump will say there was like a 400 to 500% decrease in prices. And really, it was like 12. And we're supposed to look at that and say, oh, my God. Well, 400%, fuck any of that. He said it was 12. And a lot of times, it's not even 12. Sometimes it's in the other direction. Most transparent administration in history. Oh, my God. Either way, here we are. The slaughter in Iran is still terrible. The presidency stuck its neck out, damaged America's reputation, maybe got people to go out on the street and get themselves killed. In a way, I don't want to say for nothing, obviously, because they're struggling for something. But people could make estimations about what amount of personal risk they're going to put themselves at for a cause they believe in, based upon a bunch of factors and statements from the most powerful country on the planet saying, if you do X, we will do Y. They're going to listen to that. And so I do wonder if there were people who would have done otherwise when thinking about their family safety, thinking about their children's like futures, when thinking about, the ability to, continue on for another day, if they would have acted differently. And again, anybody who's going to put their life at risk has you shouldn't lie to them. They have a right to have as much information about exactly what they're doing and putting their life at risk when standing against such a regime. And for you to go out there and say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then not do literally anything, fucking anything. I mean, there's a strong argument to say that Trump certainly got people killed. And at the same time that's happening, the main accomplishment that I heard the Trump administration on the issue of Iran was the annihilation of the program. People could say that, the general movement of power shifting in the region post October 7th when it comes to the collapse of the Assad regime. Of course, Hamas being really smashed to bits. Hezbollah being pushed out of the south, and even though they're going back into the south, but still heavily damaged. Iran's air defense systems beaten up beyond, I mean, not beyond repair, but to a point where they have to invest significantly into repair, and they have been, and they certainly aren't back to where they are, back to where they were before October 7th and all of the ensuing firings between Iran, Israel, back and forth. Now, someone could say that that general shift is the main force that has moved the Iranians back strategically in the region. But when it comes to the government at home, the instability is caused by a few things. Number one, of course, American sanctions. Number two, the government's economic mismanagement and incompetence. If you look at how that infrastructure and water management is done by the regime, it is not a profile of administrative valor. Okay, to put it lightly. The amount of water that could be lost from leaky pipage, the amount of water that is wasted on, and I'm going to use the word wasted, and I also want to say that I hold the same standards to the American government when it comes to water management too. It's just that we have access to a lot more water than the Iranians do, and so it is more of an immediate need by the Iranian government, but they continue to divert water in the midst of a water shortage towards agricultural industries that take way too much water, considering what's happening with water in the country and what's expected to happen in the next 10 to 20 years as global climate change is set to continue. Is set to continue to have some of its most disastrous effects in the exact hot zone where Iran lies. And so the economic pressure of the sanctions, the issue of inflation and the rising of the cost of living for many Iranians, problems that have been long not attended to, of the power of the morality police and police abuses, including the beating of young women to death, not for even not wearing a hijab, but for improperly wearing the hijab. Oh, you didn't wear it properly enough. So there has been some really brutal cases that have gotten youth activists on the street before, but now you've got general Iranian public who are saying, you know what, I got to eat to live. I got to have a house to live. I need economic security. And so they're going out into the street, and it's adding more momentum. And I think that in this moment, it's a really big moment for Iran. And for Trump to just inject himself like he did, fucking hell, still pisses me off. Either way, we were supposed to have annihilated the program, and now there is reports going around the Trump administration is going to bomb Iran in a very short period. And when I say a very short period, I mean as soon as this weekend. There are reports that he's going to bomb Iran. And I just want to be blunt. A lot of time when these stories get out there, it can be just the government trying to, juke you out. Like, up. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? A lot of times it's also a pressure campaign. Sometimes it's just complete bullshit. And, it's somebody got a bad report. Other times it's not complete bullshit. And I do want to say that a second carrier strike group has been moved to the region. Now, this is around the same time that the Iranian Navy and the Russian Navy are actually doing cooperative naval drills. And so one wonders if the Trump administration is going to do something like some people have speculated, some strikes on Iranian naval vessels, which could do a lot of damage. That is true. It would lead to a lot of Iranian casualties. I don't particularly see what that would immediately accomplish. I think it would make it harder for the Iranian government to, dictate the waters around, the Gulf. I understand that, but I don't see what that would immediately accomplish when it comes to the larger goals right now. I mean, I guess it's, if you smash out the Navy, then they can't have a problem with the Navy in the immediate future. But then I'm thinking, what do they want to do if they would do something like that? Either way, that's one thing people are speculating about, because in itself, you wonder, like, what's the purpose of such an operation? What would be the purpose of it? You would have to think that something would have to follow up that. You smash the Navy and then take a policy that you're worried that the Iranians might want to endanger global energy supply lines in order to counter in some way because it would be such a threat to the regime. Um, Another theory, and I think this is the leading theory, and I'm just giving the other one to lay down different possibilities here, and there are other people theorizing, but the leading theory is that the Trump administration is going to go after is going to go after their nuclear weapons program again. Isn't that fascinating? I should have something on screen. It's black as all hell right now. What we see when we die, right there. You guys, that's big breaking news. Sorry, very morbid. Okay. Okay. Let me finish before you start throwing your theories about fucking aliens at me. Okay. Let me finish my tidbit here. Now, the Trump administration said that there was no longer really an Iranian nuclear weapons program to speak of. That's not to say that it had ceased and that they were no longer pursuing, but the Trump administration said that the program was annihilated. Annihilated. Now, if you said that the program was damaged, heavily damaged, severely damaged, even the word crippled, like these are all things that could imply an American like advancement and delaying Iranian nuclear weapons program. Annihilation makes it sound like we just killed all their scientists, we just destroyed all of their, reactors, we've just destroyed all of the uranium that they had, all of the refined material, like everything, all the spent fuel rod, like everything's been just annihilated. All of the research that they had, the data storage that they had, we destroyed that. No, I gotta say, I don't believe that's possible. And I didn't believe it was possible at the time. And I didn't believe it was possible for two reasons. Number one, we knew that the Iranians had enough warning that they were able to move material out. How much material they moved out, we don't know, but I imagine a significant amount. And if they were able to move a significant amount out, the program still lives. They did not kill all of the scientists. The program still lives. They did not destroy all of the research. The program still lives. What you would have damaged most likely would have been infrastructure. Now, we don't know how much damage was done to the infrastructure, considering that they did build this pretty deep underground. But the intelligence seemed to suggest that very significant damage was done. Significant damage, meaning that they would have to either build new facilities and new locations or spend a long time, 6 months to a year, something like that, engaging in repairs to try to fix this infrastructure and such. When it comes to the amount of scientists that could have been killed, their scientist casualties is possible, but again, a lot of them lived. And so seeing this from the outside in, when I heard annihilated, I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe it because there wasn't evidence of annihilation. And if there was evidence of annihilation, I mean, this is the administration that like butt texted in journalists into like classified strategy meetings for bombing. Like, no, this administration would be out there and they would be saying, look at it. Look at it. I mean, when they blow up a little speedboat along the like South American coastline, they're like playing that stuff, and they're like 5 seconds from not only playing that stuff like 24/7 on social media accounts, but like making hype edits of it. Just crazy hype edits. Either way, when they said annihilated, they meant destroyed, but it was not destroyed from the evidence that they showed. And the other issue is, and this is my problem with this entire strategy, to be completely frank, is the South African government, when they actually annihilated, because they went in there and got rid of the program, not through bombing, but, South Africa gave up its atomic weapons program, which was originally created to help hold up the apartheid regime because it was under immense pressure from the globe. What the heck is this? I just wanted footage of the protests. Why is it having all this other stuff playing now? Either way, at that time, they came up to the all the people who were grabbing all the nuclear material, getting everything, and they said, okay, now we've given you everything. And they say, okay, fantastic. So we're good here. And like, no, no, we're not good here. I need to have a conversation with you. This was surprisingly easy. When this program started, we thought it was going to be immensely expensive. The apartheid regime was willing to put into the government a pretty large amount of resources in order to get an atomic weapon. It ended up not being that expensive, and it ended up not taking that much time. If a government invests long enough and hard enough in an atomic weapons program, and it has enough resources at its disposal, and its government can stay stable enough in pursuing a program, i.e., the government isn't overthrown, as we're seen as at risk with the Iranian government right now, then I believe you can pursue an atomic weapons program. Any country that is determined enough really, really can. That doesn't mean it won't come with consequences that could have disastrous effects. It could mean your country being sanctioned. It could mean your country being invaded. It could mean your country, all these things. But if you are able to do it uninterrupted, it is something that a country like Iran should be able to do. And so we can try to delay the program. We can try to blow up one thing, blow up another thing, and keep trying this and trying to kick the can down the road over and over again in pursuance of trying to get them to stop making an atomic weapon. But until we get some cooperation, it's not going to happen. We did the sanction regime on the North Koreans. We went balls to the wall on that. They tried other strategies in brief periods, for example, during the Clinton administration and otherwise, but the hardcore sanctions regime, as they pursued an atomic weapon, and then after they got an atomic weapon, has not succeeded in either getting them to stop it or in getting them to get rid of it once they have it. Now, that's just because sanctions is just one tool in the tool belt of a various amount of pressures that you could use. And it seems that the Trump administration has decided that they are perfectly comfortable doing direct strikes. But those direct strikes seem to be concentrated again on the atomic weapons program. They don't seem to be concentrating on getting rid of the government because they're not willing to put troops on the ground to do it. And I don't think that if they were to try to overthrow the Iranian regime in force, that the safety of a lot of American personnel in the Middle East could be guaranteed. I mean, to be frank, there are a significant amount of American personnel that are within range of Iran's drones and missiles. Now, Iran's drones and missiles might have not had the largest success rate in attacking American bases up to this point, but you have to wonder, is that due to them trying to navigate what a potential American response could be? And so if they think, well, okay, this is it, we got to go full throttle, that could change. I think it's a little bit of both, a little bit of, it not exactly living up to the hype and all of its completion, and them kind of reeling themselves in to some extent. Either way, American personnel could be at risk, and even more at risk from that if they can get local cooperation from militias in Iraq to attack, like, for example, Kataib Hezbollah, then that could be an even bigger problem. But they have been a little uncooperative with the Iranian regime, and that might be part of the reason why the Trump government feels somewhat bullish, but that is not guaranteed. That is not guaranteed whatsoever. So if we're not trying to overthrow the Iranian government without just hoping that the Iranian government kind of just caves in on itself under our sanctions plus its own failures, then what is the strategy here? Is the strategy just that every 1 year we're going to come in and we're going to bomb the atomic weapons program, and we're just going to do it over and over and over again without an agreement until the government falls? And what happens when our operation doesn't work one time? What happens when, they actually have reinforced with a significant amount of concrete, which, by the way, right now, that's what they're doing at all of their atomic sites. They're reinforcing them with concrete, actively trying to prepare them for American strikes. Each time they're going to get struck, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to cost a lot of money. It might even add discontent, but there also will be learning. And all they need to do is succeed once. We have to succeed every single time. We have to destroy their reactors every single time. We have to kill their scientists every single time. We have to destroy the research every single time. We have to do everything every single time, over and over and over and over again, hoping to continuously kick back the program, waiting for the regime to fall, while at the same time, the government overpromises to protesters, potentially getting them killed, and is not willing to do anything on the ground to actually bring the regime to its knees, to the floor, collapse it, etc. And it's not even engaging in the air campaign that it promised after the killing of protesters. So is that going to inspire bullishness in the Iranian government when it comes to this type of program? I mean, the Israelis still have an atomic weapon. The Israelis have bombed Iran, and they've been able to bomb Iran with relative ease. One could say this might be a reason to back down. Hardliners would say this is a reason to dig in and advance the program. Look, I'm not saying this to like, oh boy, I want to be like, we need to be all nice and friendly. We need to go tell them it's okay when they beat. No, I'm saying this because it's basic logic that if the hardliners are able to stay in long enough and they think that their regime's existence, the regime that in their mind holds up God and of course their own wealth and power, then I think that there's no option but to pick a side. Either you go in or you negotiate. Either you would try to pursue the regime's downfall, which comes with a lot of externalities, and are we going to put our troops on the ground? Probably not. XYZ, a lot of problems. Or we have to find some settlement with the government that allows international inspections and them stopping their atomic weapons program. We have to pursue one or the other, getting to one of these 2 points. But we cannot pursue this kicking can down the road strategy. I mean, look, it's one thing to say the problem might go away if the regime goes down. I understand that, and I understand the idea of containment. Some would say that maybe dual containment was a better idea than invasion of Iraq, for obvious reasons. But what I am saying is that if we pursue this policy of pressure, but not enough pressure to actually bring them down, they're going to be in survival mode, and it's just going to hypercharge the atomic weapons program. Even if we try to bomb it, that'll just reinforce their need, their perceived need to have this weapon, and to further compromise international atomic nuclear proliferation. Bombing Iran again and again sounds like a wet dream of Lindsey Graham. Well, Lindsey Graham wants to see the collapse of the regime. It's just, if it's the long and painful way, if it's the fast way, if whatever way it is, that's the way it is. So I think anytime we bomb them, even if he sees it as the long and painful way, for him is the positive way, of bombing Iran. Best case scenario, we negotiate an agreement that either pauses or compromises or reverses or stops the atomic weapons program in Iran, and then with its own due time and due process, the Iranian people could choose their own future, and something to that could come to its own conclusion, hopefully sooner rather than later. But if you can't get that, then you have to be able to pursue the next best thing. But it seems that Donald Trump kind of wants like one foot in one thing, one foot in the other, which is, I want to do containment, but I'm going to speak like it's not containment and get people killed.